listening to the Reckless Takes Podcast, covering sports, lifestyle, and nearly everything in between. Buckle up, boys and girls. It's time to get reckless.
Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by freezersports.com. Whether you are a new or experienced sports gambler, if you have not used a consultant site, you are missing out. Freezersports.com utilizes advanced machine learning technology to predict sporting events and find you value lines. Visit the website today, that's freezersports.com, to view their predictions from their NHL, NBA, and MLB models, all for free. Yes, for free. Freezersports.com.
Shut up and sit down.
What's up? What's up? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of the Reckless Takes podcast. We are joined once again by my co-host Randy and our special guest Josh Ortiz. He just finished recording episode 3 with us, which is our WrestleMania podcast. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you go check it out. Just scroll back on our feed. Today, we're going to talk about NBA basketball a little bit, go over some power rankings for the playoffs, and talk about some of our early award predictions / picks. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Please remember to leave a review, rate the podcast, give us your feedback. We'd love to hear it. We're just trying to get better every day, trying to stay consistent. Thank you guys. Enjoy the episode. All right, guys. So we are now going to talk some NBA. Josh here is very well versed in National Basketball Association. So we're going to get into our power rankings here. We're going to kind of cut this out into 3 tiers: the favorites, the contenders, and the sleepers. And keep in mind, just for entertainment's sake, we're not going to consider the injuries. We're going to act as if these teams are healthy and going into the playoffs tomorrow. So just to get an idea, if you see the Lakers up higher than they might be performing right now, that's why. It's because we're assuming LeBron and AD are at least close to full health and ready to roll. All right, so boys, let's talk about the top tier, the favorites. Randy, who are your favorite teams right now?
Ooh, you called on me first because
Yeah.
I'm the big trucking daddy. All right.
Shit.
I only put
Shit.
I only put 3 teams here. At number 1, I got the Nets. It was kind of a toss-up between the Lakers and Nets, but KD, Kyrie, James Harden, and James Harden's playing like a damn MVP again. I'm a Rockets fan, so that hurts me a little bit. After this, I'll go cry. But I think they're probably going to win the championship. And then at number 2, of course, the Lakers. When you got LeBron, AD, and that whole squad, they look really good. Even though pretty much the bench of the team beat the Nets. But Lakers at 2. And then number 3, I got the Phoenix Suns. That to me, people will say, well, that's a sleeper pick, blah, blah. No, man. Chris Paul honestly made that team that much better. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, you got DeAndre Ayton. That team looks freaking phenomenal. And since my Rockets are already out, I would love to see the Phoenix Sun win one with CP3. That would be so good. That would be amazing to me.
Nice.
All right, Josh, what do you have?
For my favorites, I only have 2. It's the Lakers and the Nets. I think one of them is going to win the championship. Fully healthy. Who's going to beat them in a 7-game series? It's going to. I think the championship will come down to them too. Again, fully healthy. I don't know who beats the Lakers. You really got to catch them off guard, and the Nets just have the firepower to, make you uncomfortable in late game situations. They don't have the defense, like everyone says. We know that they don't have defense. But when you have 3 elite scorers that can just get a bucket literally anywhere on the court, it's going to be fucking hard to beat. So as far as my favorites, I'm just sticking with Lakers and Nets right now.
Yeah, all right. So for my favorites, I have 3 teams as well. And in this order, I'm going to say Nets, Lakers, and Clippers. So the Clippers one, I wanted to have a 3rd team here because I felt like I felt like it wasn't certain enough with the Lakers and the aging LeBron and all this, and then the Nets with the 25th defense. And I felt like another team belonged in here. So it was kind of close. But when it comes down to it, I mean, there's a ton of talent in this Clippers team, and it all depends on Paul George, to be honest, because we know Kawhi is gonna he's going to bring 28, 5-5. It's going to happen, but it's a matter of like, is Paul George going to be the Paul George that he is right now, where he's picking it up, performing, he's in a groove, or is, playoff P, the actual playoff P going to come out and, where he's throwing shots at the side of the backboard. So I do think that Paul George has kind of settled into this game, more evolved past what he was last year and in OKC, and I truly do think that Paul George, like, this is a version of himself that can last in the playoffs and can get through tough defenses. So yeah, I think the Clippers belong in here. Obviously, the Nets and the Lakers, like you guys said, they speak for themselves. I mean, you have LeBron, and then you have probably the best offense of all time in the Nets. So yeah, I think that's pretty clear. So let's move on to the contender. Oh, what's up?
I want to say something about the Clippers.
Yeah.
This is why I think the Clippers don't win it, because they made a move at the trade deadline. When they traded away Lou Will. That's the reason I don't think they win.
Lou Will
you are
is not
sacrificing a lot of not a lot of scoring, but you're sacrificing, 12 to 15 points with Lou Will. Is Rondo going to get you those points, or who is going to get you those points?
So
exactly.
That's a question, because can Rondo give you those points? Because let's be honest, Rajon Rondo in the final
he's
two
a different
rounds,
level in the playoffs.
In the final two rounds, and Rajon hates the playoff Rondo thing. He hates it. But it's true. It's statistically proven that playoff Rondo is different. And here's the thing. Rajon Rondo was the third best player on a championship team last year. He just was in the playoffs, in the final two rounds especially. Rajon Rondo at times was the second best player on the floor by performance. And so they very well might have replaced those minutes more effectively. And Lou Williams is not a playoff player. I love Lou Williams. I think he's an awesome scorer. He's an awesome guy to have, game 50 of the season, come in and soak up a bunch of minutes. Like, he'll win you games. But when it comes to the playoffs and you have everyone playing at their max capacity and legit playoff defenders, Lou Williams cannot score the basketball at will. And he doesn't make plays for others. That's not his game. So a great move for the Hawks. I think he's someone that helps them in the playoffs. But if you're a championship aspiring team, Lou Will is not the guy you want coming 6 man off the bench.
He's just a liability on defense. He's getting blown by. He's not good at the perimeter. He's gonna get moved. Like, people are gonna work him, and the defense is gonna attack him. So yeah, that makes sense.
So let's move into contenders. So I'll go ahead and just continue here. So in this order for contenders, the next tier down, I have the 76ers, the Suns, the Jazz, and the Bucks. So this is 4 teams here. This is really hard to parse out as far as my ranking of each. You're really splitting hairs there. I think these teams are pretty much more or less on the same level. We'll kind of break these teams down a little more. I want to hear what you guys have in your second tier first. Josh, what do you have?
I have the Clippers, the Jazz, the 76ers, and the Bucks in my second tier. And I'm, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking that there's an argument to be made, like you said, Kyle, that the Clippers are favorites. Because when you look at it, they don't have Lou Will on their roster anymore, and they don't have Montrezl Harrell. So, you're losing scoring there. You are off the bench, but the move that the Clippers made this past offseason, and they've added a lot of defense. They've added defense that I think was sorely lacking. And not like tremendous defense, but better defense. And if PG and Kawhi can handle the scoring load, they really can, because they're bucket getters. They can get it. So there is an argument, and I'm still kind of on the fence with them being favorites or contenders, but they're definitely top of contenders, sneaking into my favorites. So yeah, Clippers, Jazz, 76ers, and Bucks are my second tier.
Okay, so I have a big note there, but first I want to hear, Randy, what you have in your contenders, and then we'll get back to that.
Well, I'm thinking that my list is 100% different than y'all's.
Okay.
Because two teams y'all named I don't even have in my top 10. Anyways, so I got the Jazz, Clippers, and then the Trailblazers.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Okay, so you have, give me those 3 one more time.
So I guess we're doing top 10. At number 4 in the next tier, I got the Jazz, then 5 Clippers, and then 6 I got the Trailblazers.
Okay, so I want to go before we get to the Trailblazers. So Josh, you don't have the Suns in your contenders, no?
No, the Suns are my next tier. They're in the sleepers for me,
Okay.
and not because they're not good this year. They're the second best team in the league this year. I just don't know if I trust them in the playoffs yet, and I feel like that's a reasonable argument to exclude them. CP3 is the guy, and he is the one. He is the best person you could possibly have gotten to lead you to the playoffs, to playoff success. But PG or CP3 hasn't had much playoff success, as himself,
Yeah.
Notorious for getting out in the second round, conference finals, whatever it may be. But it's not for lack of believing in them and believing that they can get there. It's just show me,
Yeah, I agree. I agree to a certain extent. I just think that when I was kind of taking it all out, I'm like, you know what? Are the Suns totally trustworthy in the playoffs? No. But are the Jazz, are the 76ers, are the Bucks? Also no. And so I think that the list of teams that are actually trusted in the playoffs ends at the Lakers and the Nets. And obviously the Nets haven't had this crazy playoff success, but the players have on the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when it came down to my second tier, like these guys are contenders, and are any of them like playoff succeeders? Not right now. And we're kind of in
they
this
haven't
weird,
been, yeah.
Yeah, we're in this weird era where the Mavericks, the Spurs, these teams that were like always favorites in the playoffs and were consistent, they're no longer there. And so like this is the new normal. I think these teams that we're calling untrustable are actually trustable. We just can't see it yet. And I think this will be like the preview year for all them. So Randy, so you don't have the 76ers or the Bucks in your contenders, right?
They're not even in my top 10.
Whoa.
Okay, so
I don't know about that.
So give me your reasoning. Why aren't the 76ers even a top 10 team?
First off,
having the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
I kind of feel like they have that like every year. Ever since the trust the process, everything, they're number 1 like every year.
They're in the top 3 more or less.
That's reasonable.
So in a playoff series, in a 7-game series against a legitimate team, what do you see about 76ers that says that you can't treat them like a top team?
Well, Embiid can't stay healthy. Ben Simmons, like who the fuck is Ben Simmons?
Come on.
I'm a big he went to LSU, but the dude's just not what I thought he would be, to be honest with you. Maybe it's because he doesn't fit with the Sixers. If he went somewhere else, he'd be better. I just don't see the Sixers as a legitimate contender. I don't see him as a legitimate team that I can really say, you know what, Sixers, that's a team I think can go all the way. Same with Bucks. I just think Giannis made the dumbest decision by signing a big extension with them. Should have went somewhere else. The Bucks have no potential to go to the championship. They just don't, because this is why, because I just feel like last year was the biggest chance for the Sixers and the Bucks to get there, and they both choked so hard.
Well, listen, so
Sixers didn't have somebody last year, didn't they?
Here's my Sixers argument. So Joel Embiid has clearly unlocked a different level of his game that he's never had. And so, Embiid's always been great. It's always been like, hopefully he stays healthy, this and that. He has clearly unlocked being one of the most dominant players in the NBA. And like, if he were to play the way he is right now, every year, he's going down as a top 3 center of all time. And that's just a fact. He's easily the most unstoppable player in the NBA right now. And when you have that guy, as long as that stays consistent, which is we'll see, but going off of what we have so far this year, if he's healthy, it's just kind of like the exercise that we're doing here. I don't see anyone that can stop him. I mean, Giannis is probably the closest thing. And, you look at some of the other centers in the East, and that's a weak point. Like, there's no one that's going to stop this guy. What are you going to have, like Aaron Baines stop him? Are you going to have, Tristan Thompson stop him? Like, who's going to do it? DeAndre Jordan? So in any series, I think Embiid's just going to have his way. That's my argument for them. And Ben Simmons, like, I get it. Like, he's not a scoring guy, but, Ben Simmons has a case for top 3 defensive player of the year. And, he sure as hell thinks he's number 1. But I
want to get on the Sixers talk really quickly.
Yeah, go
before we move on. I think outside of Ben and Joel, the team is just built very well. Like, it's built very well. They have the size with Dwight Howard. when Joel comes off the floor, you got Dwight Howard, who has proven last year that, he's worthy to play in the playoffs still. And he can give you good minutes. He can give you good boards. He can, be there for you. Danny Green, he's hit or miss, but I think he's still like a really good playoff player. I think he's valuable to have. And, they got really good defense. I feel like Maxey and Thibault and Tobias Harris is playing at an unreal level this season, to be honest, as a scorer for them, like a secondary scorer. He's secondary, maybe third scorer if you consider Ben, a scorer, but most people don't. And then Ben Simmons is good. Like I don't like Ben Simmons slander because Ben Simmons is good.
Yeah.
I
love that he's kind of bought into this dunker spot role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's your role man a lot of times. And I think that the 76ers have enough secondary and tertiary ball creators to where it's okay if he's rolling to the rim. You have Tobias Harris, you have Shake Milton, you have Danny Green, like you have guys who can just Tyrese Maxey, you have guys who can make plays. And like you said, Josh, Thibault is one of the best and underrated defenders in the NBA, especially on the ball and help defense. So yeah, I love the 76ers in the playoffs. It was hard for me to like even have them in this tier. I just think that the other teams are on another level. So let's get down to the sleepers. And I just want to say also the Jazz, being the number one team in the NBA, having them in this tier felt wrong, but it comes down to like, do I trust Donovan Mitchell in the clutch where he's proven this year that he cannot be consistent and shoot a good percentage? And when it comes down to it, like who's going to get your shot? Obviously it's going to be him. Is he going to make that shot in the Western Conference Finals, Game 6, down 2?
Hold on, Kyle. Pause on the Jazz. Did we talk about why he picked the Trailblazers?
Yeah. Okay. Wait. You do have to defend yourself really quick because they're not in my top 10.
They're not in my top anything.
And look, and so Dame time. I get it, Dame time. But what happens in the playoffs when you double team Damian Lillard? Like, can you trust CJ McCollum to make every shot?
Listen. Where were the Blazers last season in the playoffs? Where were they? Where'd they lose?
In the conference finals, I believe.
Oh, they made it to the conference finals, right?
Okay.
And they didn't lose anybody. I don't even know who they added, but that's a team.
Derrick Jones Jr.
Hey, he's solid.
He's all right.
So here's my argument against the Blazers. I agree. They made it to the conference
finals.
Anybody. They can't stop anyone. Listen. I don't even like the Gary Trent Jr. move for a playoff series. I think that it was fine for the regular season, but listen, the Suns and the Jazz they've escalated themselves to another level. I don't think the Clippers are going to break down like they did last year. So there's just more competitive teams than there was last year. And that's leaving the bubble anomaly talk out of it, which I think is legitimately a thing. I don't think the Blazers have enough scoring past Dame to get
CJ.
past anyone. And
CJ's amazing.
CJ's great, but I think CJ
don't sleep on CJ.
CJ's a great secondary scorer. It's the Klay Thompson argument. Could Klay Thompson be a primary scorer on a conference finals team? I disagree. I think Klay Thompson is so great because of what's around him. And, I think Klay always has to be your second best player. I think CJ always has to be your second best player.
I like the Norm Powell move. Like, you said you didn't like it, Kyle? You didn't like it?
I don't like it for the playoffs. I don't like it for when you need to go get a bucket and Dame's getting, double, triple teamed. I think that I like Gary Trent more in that role.
I think I like Norm Powell just shooting. He's bigger. So, like I feel like their strokes are, like, similar. Like, I don't know the percentages exactly, but they can't be that far off. But I like Norm Powell because he can defend better than Gary Trent. I mean, Gary Trent's not a great defender, but I just don't see the Blazers as being a threat to beat some of these bigger teams. Is Nurk playing? Is he playing?
He should be back for the playoffs. He's not right now. He's not.
Well, he's gonna be back healthy.
And has he missed pretty much all year?
That's okay.
A lot of it, yeah. I mean, Look,
and he's going to have to go up against Gobert and
Cantor
players like
playing
that.
25 minutes a game.
I don't even think Nurkic even played in the playoffs last year. I think he was hurt. I think he broke his hand or some bull.
Well, listen, and another big thing is like when you get to like talking about Enes Kanter minutes hurting you, the guy can't not play Carmelo Anthony, and Carmelo Anthony hurts you in the playoffs. He's a negative.
Well, I just think Carmelo's going to have a big playoffs. I really
I
wanted.
think you're out of touch with the NBA.
I really wanted. No. I really wanted to put the Blazers in my top 3. People really. No. See, look. This is why this is a sports podcast. We're not the same person.
That was a reckless take, brother.
That was one hell of a reckless take.
And that was our reckless take of the game. No, but like, I just don't see why people bash the Blazers. Y'all are so high on the Sixers and the Bucks. Why in the fuck are y'all not high on the Blazers? Like, come on.
The Sixers and the Bucks can defend.
It's about play. It's about playoff basketball.
Write this down on your little notepad, Kyle Mangelsdorf. The Blazers will be in the Western Conference Finals. Put that shit down for me.
All right.
I'm doing it.
We're noting it.
And if it doesn't happen, I will freaking shave my head bald.
Are you serious?
Are you serious?
Dead ass serious.
Will you do it?
Okay.
And we'll do it on the
That's
podcast.
crazy. That's a reckless take, man.
Awesome. Okay.
You are living into it.
We'll bring it back to that. So let's get to the last tier here. I imagine we're not gonna spend a whole lot of time. I do have in this order the Heat, the Nuggets, and the Celtics. What about y'all?
I have the Nuggets, the Heat, the Suns, and an honorable mention to the Knicks.
Interesting.
As a sleeper.
Okay. What about you?
Well, I have 4 in this one. I have the Mavs, the Heat, the Knicks, and the Celtics.
Okay. So Josh, first of all, so no Heat.
No, Heat are there for me.
Heat are there.
Or Nuggets. I think I want to take the Nuggets. I don't know if I want to take them out without Jamal Murray. Like what? Because I know we were saying all healthy, but Jamal Murray's not playing in the playoffs.
We can't consider that.
So I don't know how far I might swap Nuggets and Celtics for sleepers because I don't know how far they get with Monte Morris playing the starting point guard, or is Austin Rivers going to be the starting point guard?
Here's my argument for them, and I agree the point guard spot just went down like 3 tiers, like 3 player tiers, but I believe Michael Porter Jr. can take on that creation load, and I'm a huge fan of him, and he has all the tools to be a star, if not superstar, and so we're gonna find out if they are sleepers, because if Michael Porter Jr. can't handle that load and he becomes a negative player off of shot creation, then they have no chance. They're a bottom 10 team without Jamal Murray and with no one to fill that role. But my belief going in is I think Michael Porter Jr. can do it, and I think that they can make some first round noise at least. And I think if he's putting up 25 shots a game, I think that you have a good scorer there. So that's my argument for the Nuggets. And obviously, is Jokic going to take a hit? Because Jokic in that Murray 2-man game was huge. Jokic was feeding off the success of those handoffs and those options and all that. So, there's a lot to be seen with the Nuggets. They're easily the biggest question mark of this whole segment.
Oh yeah. The hit on Jamal Murray is the main reason why I took him out of my top 10. But Jokic is to me top 3 player in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Easy.
Last year in the playoffs, I don't remember what game or what series it was, but I was watching it and he played the entire game without getting out. And I think they went into like 2 overtimes and he didn't get out once. The dude is the real deal.
And he's in extremely better shape than he was last year. So that's even better.
But just the Murray being gone, that's why they're not in my top 10. I think, like you said, I think Jokic does need Murray. And the point guard position, I don't think is there. I don't think Monty can do it. And then Michael Porter Jr., really hasn't done much since he's been in. So he was supposed to be this big old hype next LeBron James type player. And what has he done? Is it because of the injury before getting drafted? What was it? But I don't see the Nuggets there, man.
I think MPJ has done enough to be warranted as a threat.
Borderline secondary or third option on offense.
He's a great scorer. He can get you a bucket. He's a good bucket getter. But I feel like Mike Malone just does not maybe he's in his doghouse, but he just doesn't give him as much reign as I think Michael Porter Jr. needs to be like the best version of Michael Porter Jr.
We're gonna find out what he's made of because Mike Malone no longer has a choice as far as MPJ goes. He has to be your second scorer. And
that's probably why I'm so down on MPJ is because he doesn't get much open freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, the playoffs, we're definitely going to see what he can do. And after the playoffs, maybe I'll be on here sucking MPJ's wang, just deriding him. So
I will say this really quick. I do have another honorable mention here for sleepers, and it will please Randy. I do have the Blazers as a sleeper, not contender, not a favorite, as a sleeper. And that's just taking into account their last season success. Could have been a bubble anomaly, but, sleeper, I think, is comfortable for Blazers.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Last place sleeper.
That's kind of where I'm at for the Heat. Is I think the reason that they're in this tier is kind of, it's a lot of respect for what they did last year, and I think that the potential, and as of right now, the Miami Heat just beat the Brooklyn Nets in a regular season game. But I just think that the potential is there. The ceiling is really high for the Heat. If Jimmy is real Jimmy and Bam isn't playing afraid, and they're getting the shots they want, and Tyler Hero is bubble Hero.
And so Oladipo going to play? Like, what's up with him right now?
Well, my thing is Oladipo going to get overplayed because he hasn't been a positive on the court all year. As much as I want him to be good, I love Oladipo. He hasn't been a positive on the court all year, because he'll get you 30 points and it's like, oh, cool, he's shot 30 shots, and
I feel like that was a pretty big acquisition at the trade deadline, and it hasn't really amounted to anything positive for Miami yet. So
I think the Heat ceiling is there. Celtics, same thing. The Celtics ceiling is there. It's just a matter of like, is Tatum going to keep up the way he's playing right now? Is Jalen going to be able to continue this in the playoffs? Is Marcus Smart going to become Marcus Smart again? There's so many questions there for the Celtics. It's hard to put them up there, but I just thought the ceiling was really high, and that's why they squeaked into my sleepers.
I don't know about the Celtics, dude. I just don't think that like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are phenomenal talents. Like, no one's questioning that, but the team doesn't get better. They're looking for their shots first, and I mean, why shouldn't they? They're great scorers, but I just don't know how I like the Celtics team that much. They've turned it up really, really good these past 10 games. I would say they're probably they're trending in the right direction. But for a while there, before the break, they were like not even 500, I think, or they were trending between 500 and barely under, barely above. So they've turned it up, but I don't know. They always make noise and then don't do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like that's them every year. Yeah, I know they went to the Eastern Conference. That's why they're in the last tier for me, because they went there. But the roster, to me, if I'm Brad Stevens, he probably should have taken the Indiana job, the college job.
Damn.
7 years, 70 million. That's a hell of a lot to turn down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
at the same roster, you couldn't win.
Sorry.
Thanks for interrupting me 100 times.
Well, your screen froze on my end, so I didn't even know you were talking. So, okay. Let's real quick. Let's finish up and let's rattle through these award talks. So we're gonna kind of go through, and as of right now, let's see who we got for a few categories here. So let's start with MVP. Give your guy and give a little quick argument.
Jokic is my MVP right now. He just does everything for the team. He does everything. He playmakes, he can rebound, he can pass, he can score. He's just, when I think of most valuable player to their team, I think of Jokic. I mean, and he's been consistent all year. And I have him on my fantasy team, and my God, he just fantasy monster, just does everything. So I just think Jokic is a favorite, or is my favorite as of right now at this point.
Randy, you got?
I got Jokic as well. I think if James Harden was still on the Rockets doing what he's doing now, which he does every year, I would give it to Harden. But I think they do not give it to him just because he has KD and Kyrie. So definitely Jokic. Josh hit it on the money. He's the team, and you'll definitely see it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I as far as Harden goes, the Houston thing is a huge smear for the voters. That he's based off that alone, he has no chance. I think he's playing great basketball, but the Houston thing was really bad. I'm gonna go Embiid here. I love Jokic. The games missed are gonna really, really hurt Embiid when it comes to the voters. But if in my eyes, Embiid's just been so dominant, and I mean, I have a few of his numbers here: 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, 55% from 2, and 38% from 3. That's absurd. And when you watch him no one can stop him. There's no one. Him and Gobert, that battle going back, I guess, like a month ago or so. He just got the better of Gobert when it came down to it. He got his way. He faced him up. He backed him down. Whatever he wanted to do, he got it. And Gobert was getting legitimately frustrated at his inability to stop him. And, Gobert is the guy that we're going to talk about in Defensive Player of the Year. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go Embiid here. But I definitely, absolutely 100% hear the case for Jokic. So let's go Defensive Player of the Year. Josh.
I got Gobert for Defensive Player of the Year over Ben Simmons, just because I think Gobert is just more important defensively than Ben Simmons is to the Sixers, because I think it's one of them two. I mean, I guess you can make the case for somebody else, but it's one of them two. And I think the 76ers have better defensive pieces around Ben Simmons than the Jazz do around Gobert. And so I think it's Gobert this year.
Randy, what you got?
Yeah, I got James Harden. No, I'm just kidding. No, I got Gobert for like the 7th year in a row, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be Gobert here, really. I mean, Ben Simmons, there's a conversation there, but when you bust out the numbers, it's Gobert is giving up like 10% less at the rim than Simmons, and like 5% less at mid range, and in the 3-point percentage isn't even bad. When Gobert gets isolated by himself with the little man, he's only allowing like 35 or 34% from three. So the numbers are all there, and I think it's the number 2 defense this year. And he's clearly anchoring that. It's not like he's getting a ton of help from Royce O'Neal or whatever you want to say. Joe Ingles is a good defensive talent, but he's not a top talent. So yeah, Gobert pretty easily there. Coach of the Year, Randy, what you got?
Monty Williams for the Suns, of course. I think that's one of the most improved teams in the NBA right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has to be them. And a lot of people can say it's CP3, but if you have a bad coach, you're going to do bad. Look at the Rockets when we had D'Antoni. We lived by the 3 and we fucking died by the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Very violent death.
Yeah. And I cried many of nights eating ice cream, and that's why I'm fat.
Josh, you have Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Monty Williams as well. Phoenix has just been a complete turnaround from where they were last year, and I think it's mainly due to Chris Paul's on-court presence, but Monty Williams definitely plays a role in their success. So yeah, I agree with Monty. That's mine.
Yeah, I got Monty as well. We can keep saying it over and over. Chris Paul has been great. D-Book's been great, but some of the ways that Monty's been handling these rotations has been excellent. And they've been fairly hurt by injuries here and there and some COVID absences, and they haven't really skipped a beat. Some of these end of game lineups, the choice to bring out Ayton in certain situations has been huge, and go with Saric at center lineups. And just be able to realize that, okay, like Ayton is one of our guys going forward, and that's not going to change, but he's not helping us right now. And so he's made great decisions down the stretch, and yeah, it's kind of hard to go. Steve Nash is a sleeper choice for me. I think that him having those big names is an auto turn off for the voters, but has he had those big names available together? Almost never. All 3 have played together a handful of times, and almost every night it's okay, is Kyrie going to play or is James Harden going to play? Which one? And it's almost like he's choosing which one's going to play that night. And so they're still winning games. He's still making great decisions down the stretch with DeAndre Jordan when he should be in and shouldn't be in. But Steve Nash, my sleeper choice. So let's do one more here. Let's go Rookie of the Year. Josh.
I'm kind of split between Halliburton and Edwards. I think I'm leaning more to Halliburton. Edwards really didn't have the efficiency there. If LaMelo Ball was playing, it would be LaMelo Ball without a shadow of a doubt. I think what he showed in the beginning of the year when he was playing was enough to convince me that he's the real deal and that he's going to be a good NBA player for the foreseeable future. But I really like what Halliburton brings to the Kings. I was pretty questionable when they drafted him, his fit with De'Aaron Fox, but I think it's pretty nice. I think they complement each other nicely, and a lot of the questions about that jump shot were silenced for the most part this year. His jump shot still looks a little awkward, but it's going in. So yeah, I got Halliburton for Rookie of the Year.
Randall.
I so want to take LaMelo Ball. But obviously, they cannot go that way. And if they do, big slap in the freaking face to all these other rookies. I got Anthony Edwards. At first, he had a slow start, but he's picked it up a lot. And I know the Timberwolves are garbage, but I think Anthony Edwards should win Rookie of the Year. He's second in points of all rookies. I just think he's a solid guy.
Yeah, I mean, Edwards can shoot the hell out of the ball, and that's like his efficiency isn't great, but coming out of college, the report on him was he can't be your lead scorer, and I mean, he's shown like one way or another, like I'm gonna get 30 points. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, his ability to score the ball has been impressive. I'm gonna go Halliburton here. I just think there's a couple factors, and being sliding down to 12 and kind of the whole like what the hell were y'all thinking aspect of this is awesome. Looking at all the teams I could have had Halliburton, and he probably should have gone second. There's an argument there, but I would have taken him second, and he's knocking on 50, 40, 90, 47% from the field, 41 from three, and 86 from the line. That's just absurd for a rookie. And I truly think that this guy could be on any team right now. I don't think there's a single team that would say, no, we're good. He blended in with Fox perfectly. I could see him. This guy would be amazing on the Nets. He'd be amazing on the Lakers. Like, he just fits anywhere. Because he can shoot the ball now. He can pass the ball better than any rookie. Well, obviously not LaMelo, but anyone in this conversation. So yeah, it was a pretty easy choice for me for Halliburton. Obviously, if LaMelo was still playing, he's the runaway favorite because of all the insane things he can do on the court. But I'm gonna go Halliburton.
Really quickly, Kyle, do we have a most improved? Do you have like a?
I didn't put anyone down, but I would love to hear what you guys have.
So I don't know if he'll win this award. I have three people that I'm, looking at. And I don't know if he's won it before, but Julius Randle is playing ridiculous this season. So I have Julius Randle as possibly a most improved player, but he's had good numbers in the past. So, but I think he is playing at a different level. So I got Randle, and because it's most improved player going based on the player itself and not so much team success, I also have Jeremy Grant in there with Detroit. He's playing really well, and I got Lou Dort. Lou Dort is playing really well this season, and so I got him in there. But if I had to pick one of those three, I'm probably going to go Randle. I think he's been phenomenal for the Knicks this season.
I got the same. I got Julius Randle. I didn't make a top three, but all top three that you said were already in the back of my mind. Julius Randle, and the difference between him being on the Knicks and the Pelicans, he wasn't the number one guy with the Pelicans. Obviously, he had AD and then DeMarcus Cousins a little bit. He went to the I'm tripping. He was with the Lakers too. I'm just trying to think back. He was with the Lakers.
Randle, Lakers, Pelicans.
Yeah, Lakers, Pelicans. And then with the Knicks, he's the number one guy. And then you got Derrick Rose there and stuff like that. He just had a hell of a game. I think it was either today or yesterday. I can't remember. But he just had a freaking phenomenal game. And I just feel like
he's dropping 30 consistently.
Yeah.
Like he's dropping 30 very consistently.
I feel like every game they have, I'm seeing a ESPN notification. Randle has a great game, 30 points, blah, blah, blah. I just think that he needs to win it, one. And then two, how fucking crazy would it be if the Knicks were in the damn finals?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and he's got them in, at least in the conversation of playoff team. So, I mean, that's impressive as it is. And the Knicks have been riddled with all this unsuccess, this like lack of success all these years. And so it's cool to see it back. I'm off the top of my head, this isn't how the most improved player works because it needs to be a little bit more of a meteoric rise. But in my head, Zach Levine, he has convinced me this year that he can be the best player on a playoff team. And that was something that was always my knock against him, was that he in the playoffs would be a negative, and that's still to be seen. But he's convinced me that he can make enough plays for others, and he can get to his spot enough and make these ridiculous shots that I legitimately believe that he can be a playoff basketball player. So in my head, that's a pretty big rise from where I was on him before.
Unfortunately, he's hurt at the moment.
Yeah, hopefully he can get back.
That was COVID.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it was confirmed, but it's probably a positive COVID test. From because it was something about health and safety
Health and
protocols.
safety protocols.
Yeah, I saw something like he was out for like several weeks.
Yeah. So
yeah, he for sure is playing at another level this season too. Him and Randall are just different levels. So.
Get him the hell out of Chicago.
I don't know, man. I'm not all for that. I want to see Chicago. I think the NBA is better when Chicago is good. I think that's a fact. When Derek was doing his thing down there, and they had Carlos and they had Taj and they had that Joakim, they had all that going. I think the NBA is just better when the Bulls are good. The Bulls and the Lakers, they need to be good for the NBA to be fun. It's just simple.
Man, just think about if Derrick Rose never tears that ACL, how we would be talking about something totally freaking different right now.
Let's finish this up with one last thing. Play-in game. The play-in tournament. Do you guys like it?
No.
Why?
I think it's stupid.
So you're with Luka Doncic. He had all these comments come out about we played this season that's too long and everyone knows it just to play.
Yeah,
one or two more games.
One, they barely got a break. They barely had an all season, which was stupid. Like, I understand from the NBA they're trying to make money, but then this play-in, that's dumb. Like, I think it's a good idea, but not for this year.
Okay. So
Let's
so overall you think it's good, yeah.
Like, I also think like having like an NFL type thing. Like, I know they're bringing the 17th game. Why not have like that week 17 be the last two teams fighting to get into the playoffs? Winner goes, winner's out. I like that idea. I really don't like the idea when, like, I know this is off the NBA, when the NFL added that extra team, because I hate not seeing like I just not having two bye teams for the divisional round just sucked for me. But I mean, I guess we'll see. I'm probably not going to watch the play-in tournament, to be honest. I'm probably not going to, unless the Houston Rockets turn around and we're going to be there.
Okay, well,
I don't think there's a
little
shot.
ways off. I don't even know if it's a statistical possibility at this point.
That's okay. We're gonna get the number one overall pick.
42 games.
Josh, what do you think about playing?
I enjoy it. It's entertaining. I mean, it's. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I've seen a lot of hate for it on Twitter. But I think it's entertaining. I think it's a way to make those 7 through 10 teams. There's not a lot of games separating them. There's at sometimes like 2 or 3 games separating them, and with strength of schedule and COVID and all that stuff, I think it's harder to see like right now who is the better team between 7 and 10. Some teams just injuries, all that stuff. So I'm a fan of the playing game. I think it's interesting. It keeps the game exciting, and I mean this is only the second year of its iteration, so we'll see how long it sticks around. But I'm for it. It's entertaining.
Yeah. I see where Luka's coming from, because for all of time the 7th seed gets you into the playoffs, and now all of a sudden it doesn't, right? And you have to play another game, and you have to battle it out. And it's just, I am a fan of it because of how much it de-incentivizes tanking, right? You see teams like the Bulls going all in to try to make it, right? And so it's just, you see, the Pelicans, who had a terrible start, they're still fighting, still trying to get there, stuff like that. And just like, look, I'm a Spurs fan, but I'm looking at it as what the possible play-in could be from an average NBA fan. There's a possibility that we could get Luka and the Mavs. We could get Ja or Dame and the Blazers. We can get Steph and the Warriors, Zion and the Pelicans. Like, this could be an awesome play-in tournament in the West, and the East will have a bunch of awesome players too. But it's just entertaining. Like, once one of the lower teams wins that first game, all of a sudden it's like a game 7 situation, right? So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it in pretty much every aspect. All right, guys. Well, that'll wrap up the NBA, thus wrapping up this episode. That was a great
episode
guys.
2, episode freaking 2, guys.
Well, hey, we'll call it episode 3 because we split the mock draft into 2. So we'll start the count at 3 from
3.
here.
3 of many more.
Yep.
3
of 10. I'm just kidding. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it here on the Reckless Takes podcast. Randy, Josh, great recording, guys. I really appreciate y'all.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was awesome.
We will see y'all next time.
Ooh.
Let's get reckless, boys.